Hi everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Virtuzone Academy Q&A. We are just waiting for more people to join the webinar, so just give us 1 or 2 minutes, then we will kick off. All right, everyone, let's kick off today's Virtuzone Academy Q&A. Thank you so much for joining this evening. Once again, we are overwhelmed by the positive response that we have gotten for this particular webinar. This is the fifth one in the series of our Q&As, and today we will really be answering all the questions that you have about starting a business in the UAE. So thanks so much to everyone who have submitted their questions in advance. We will also take questions during the webinar, so feel free to post them in the chatter on the right-hand side of your screen as we go along. We have received a lot of questions in advance, but we will do our best to get around all of them, as well as the ones you post in the chatter. So today we have an amazing lineup of expert panelists ready to answer your questions. We have CEO of Virtuzone, George Hojaij. We have our Head of Operations, Sarah Jiwala, and we are just waiting for our Director of Domestic Structuring, Paul Bryson, to join the webinar as well. And I think we have Paul on now. But while we wait for Paul to join, George, do you want to give a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. So my name is George Hojaij, and I'm the CEO of Virtuzone. As you know, we are the largest company formation specialists in the region. And part of our job is to educate people and answer their questions on how to set up a business here in the UAE. We have over 130 employees that are specialized in this business, and we act as a consultant and as a processor for licensing. So I hope that you have a lot of questions for us today. I hope that we can answer them, and I hope that we will be able to encourage you to start your own business, because there's nothing like entrepreneurship.
Thank you, George. Sarah, brief introduction.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Jiwala. I'm the Head of Operations at Virtuzone. I've been with the company for over 7 years now. So although my title is Head of Operations, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of after sales and customer service, and a lot of immigration and government related work that I do and that the team that I have does. And so it's been an interesting journey over the last 7 years, because there's been a lot of regulatory changes, but it's our job to keep you updated with those changes and how that affects you and running your business.
Thanks so much for that, Sarah. Paul, you're with us as well?
Yeah, I don't know if the sound working okay?
It sounds great. Do you mind giving a brief introduction about yourself?
Of course, absolutely. So I'm Paul Bryson. I'm the Director of Structuring here at Virtuzone. And I've been setting up, structuring and restructuring companies here in Dubai and the UAE for the last 10 years. And I would say that I've been involved in the setup of around 5,000 companies within that time.
Amazing. Thank you, Paul. All right. Well, let's kick off. We have an exciting hour ahead of us. I see the first questions have already been posted in the chatter. But let's start out with some of the ones that some of our participants, they have submitted in advance. So George, Michael, he would like to know that in the event that I choose to take full-time employment from another company, can I keep the business running with the granting of an NOC from my new employer?
Yes, absolutely. If your employer gives you an NOC to have a side business or a business license, then you can absolutely have that right to have one. Also, if you're already employed and you're coming to start a new business, some jurisdictions will ask, some of them, not all of them, will ask for an NOC from your current employer in order to allow you to start a business. So yes, you can absolutely be employed, and with an NOC you can have a business license. And for some jurisdictions, you don't even need an NOC to have a business license as well. But it's always advisable for contractual purposes to inform your employer that you do have a side hustle or a side business. And it's always better to keep it transparent, but it's not an obligation.
Thanks for that, George. Michael, I hope that answers your question. Sarah, the next one is for you. It's Michael again. He's asking, is there a threshold for VAT in the Rakes free zone, am I able to trade up to a certain turnover without having to apply for VAT?
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm having a little bit of trouble with sound, so if you have any trouble hearing me, let me know. But I did hear that question, and so RAC itself is a designated free zone, so it doesn't charge VAT. However, that does not mean that companies that are registered within the RACES or Ras Al Khaimah Economic Zone cannot charge VAT. So when it comes to VAT in general, throughout the United Arab Emirates, there are thresholds. So anything below 50,000 US dollars, we'll just stick to US dollars because the numbers are easier. So if your business is earning revenue or income of anything under $50,000, you are not required to register for VAT with the Federal Tax Authority. Anything between $50,000 and $100,000, it is what would be termed as a voluntary registration. So you can volunteer on a voluntary basis register for VAT. When your business turnover reaches and crosses 100,000 US dollars in an annual term or in an annual period, you must register for VAT on a mandatory basis. So those are the various thresholds.
Thanks for that, Sarah. I think so. At least I got much smarter with that answer. So thanks for that. Paul, Chaminda would like to know, is there an opportunity to start a business at your own residence if you're an expat? And if you want to start creating food products, how can you get an approval for that type of business? And yeah, I guess how difficult is it, to start this type of business? Besides producing the food products at your own house, Chaminda would also like to be teaching others how to make their own food.
Okay, so that's let's say take that question and split it into three different parts. The first part was, can I set up a business at my own residence? So no, you can't set up the business to be registered at your own residence, because the business must be registered to a commercial workspace, not a residential workspace, and buildings cannot have dual purpose for commercial or residential. They are predefined by the Dubai municipality, but you can apply to change the use of a building from, let's use Jumeirah Beach Road for example. You can change the use of a villa to be residential to commercial. Then it can become a nursery school or a clinic. Once it becomes that, it's no longer residential, so you can't stay there in one of the spare rooms and operate a clinic there at the same time. When you set your business up, you can set it up, let's say in a free zone, be registered there, offer a consultancy service, but work from home. There's nothing to stop you working from home. Catching up on your emails and your calls from home, sending across any consultancy pieces from home. There's not an issue with that. So you can do it, but you won't be registered to your house. And then the second question was about food products, and was that about creating food products at home? So you can't do that. Food products that are going to be sold must be prepared inside a commercial kitchen, so not at home. And that kitchen will need to be approved by Dubai municipality and inspected by them as well. Presumably we're talking about Dubai. If, however, you do have a product that you want to start selling and manufacturing small scale yourself, what you could do is set up a catering services company and then rent space in a dark kitchen. And there's quite a lot of dark kitchens around Dubai. Dark kitchens are I'd say they're all the rage these days. They are operated by companies like Deliveroo, and there are separate companies as well that do it, whereby you can just rent a separate space inside that kitchen for yourself to prepare your food stuff, and then Deliveroo would act as the distributor or the agent to sell those goods in Dubai. So I could go on my app and buy your granola bars that you're making inside that kitchen, but you have to do it in a Dubai municipality approved kitchen. You cannot do it from home under any circumstances there whatsoever. And then there was a question about teaching. Is that right? And was that online, or was the question about online or just teaching?
It doesn't state if it's online or offline, but it's about teaching others to cook, to bake cakes and so on. and
Yeah.
eventually what it would cost to set up.
Yeah, no. Got it. So I had offline in my head, online in my head as you were reading the question, Christian. So if I was going to offer that type of business, for sure I would do that online, via a license in a Northern Emirate free zone for online education or something like that, where you don't need to go down the route of I'm publishing content, so I need to get approval from the National Media Council at 30,000 dirhams for the year, because presumably if you're teaching people how to cook, it's on a small scale. The volume is not going to be high there. So I would look at some sort of online education platform there, and do it online via a webinar like this platform that we've got. And you can do that from home, as long as you can be in your home while you host the webinar, but you'll be invoicing from your free zone company, not personally.
Thanks
So
for that, Paul.
3 parts, I think I've broken that down.
Yeah, no, I think that was a very thorough answer. So thanks a lot for that. I hope that would satisfy Chaminda. Sorry guys, I know some of you have posted in the chatter that the connection is a little bit off today. We are working on fixing it, so I do hope it becomes much better as we go along. So please bear with us meanwhile. There's lots of questions being posted in the chatter, so thanks so much for that, guys, and please continue to do so. We will get around to them shortly. George, the next one is for you. D1 would like to know, how much will it cost me to set up my business, and does Virtuzone offer finance for people who have a bad credit history?
Well, that's a good question, and that's a question that we get asked very often. How much does it cost to start a business? And the answer to that is not an easy answer, because it's not a straightforward answer. It all depends on what type of business you want to start and which jurisdiction it's best for you to start it. Here at Virtuzone, we'll be able to advise you on what's the best jurisdiction for you, depending on your type of business. And the price can vary, quite greatly between jurisdiction and jurisdiction, between very different type of businesses, how many visas you'll be requiring, and so on and so forth. You can, as a ballpark figure, you can start a business for as low as 9,000 dirhams, and it's pretty much uncapped on how much it could cost you if you're starting a large business. When it comes to, do we provide credit? We do provide credit and finance. We try to facilitate, as entrepreneurs, we often have very limited funds to start our business, and our funds should be used very wisely and invested very wisely. So we do try and help our clients as much as possible with financing the cost of the license over a few months. Do we offer finance to people with bad credit history? It's another difficult question to answer. Obviously, like any other business, we're wary about defaults and payment defaults, and we need to protect our business as much as possible. I'll answer the question by saying that we do try to help as much as possible. Certainly, if you have bad credit history, then the financing options to you will be less favorable than somebody with a good credit history. That does not mean that we will not offer you any financing solutions. It's just that it's going to be more stringent on somebody with a bad credit history than on somebody with a good credit history. But we do offer and try to offer the best financing options we can give to all our clients. So I hope this answers your question.
Thank you so much, George. Sarah, the next question is for you. It is Peter that would like to know, if I close down my company and cancel my trade license, do I also have to cancel the visa for my employees and myself? Oh, we lost the sound on you, Sarah. I think meanwhile, no, we cannot hear you.
Do you want me to pick up on that one?
Paul can probably answer this one.
Yeah. So the question was, is it if I close down my company and cancel the trade license, do I have to cancel the visas? Yes. It's not possible to close the company or liquidate a company until you have clearance from immigration or any other third parties that could have a claim on the company, and that would be debt or employees that perhaps are due funds. So you must take all these documents together when you're closing the company. So you cannot close it with any visa still active or with an open labour and immigration file.
Okay, thanks for that, Paul. I'm not sure we have Sarah back yet, so why don't we jump into some of the questions from the chatter. George, Chabel would like to know if there's any restrictions for Lebanese nationals on setting up companies in the UAE.
I'm sorry, Christian, I didn't hear that question. Can you repeat it?
Oh, yeah, so it's a question from Chabel, who is asking, are there any restrictions for Lebanese nationals to set up businesses in the UAE?
There are no restrictions at the moment. We don't anticipate that any restrictions will come. Lebanese can open a company just like anybody else. As a matter of fact, we're getting a lot of Lebanese clients at the moment due to the situation in Lebanon. The only query that we're getting a lot that I can answer is, unfortunately, we cannot accept payment in Lebanon. As we all know, there are challenges with the banking situation in Lebanon at the moment, and we get a lot of inquiries of people wishing to pay in Lebanon, and we don't do that, and we won't be able to do that for the foreseeable future. But in terms of opening up licenses, opening up companies, getting visas, there are no restrictions at the moment.
And the only thing that I would say on that is often there is an enhanced security check depending on place of birth. So it's not necessarily about the nationality. So you could have a Lebanese passport, but you could be born in another high-risk country or city nearby. And if you are, then perhaps prior to your license being issued, you will undergo a CID check or a CID approval. That's normal. And as George said, it's quite difficult to get funds out of Lebanon. So that's the toughest thing that we face. We're setting up loads of companies for Lebanese nationals, but we're struggling to get the funds out of Lebanon.
Okay. Sarah, are you back with us? We can't hear you, unfortunately. So we will jump on to the next one. George, this one is for you. So Ivan says that he has seen our new advertisement called VZ for Life. Can you tell us more about what that includes?
Absolutely. So in these difficult times and challenging times, a lot of people are being made redundant, unfortunately. And for all of us to be here in the UAE, we need to have residency visas. At the same time, a lot of us have been dreaming of starting our business for a long time. We've been dreaming of this idea that we think is gonna do very well, but we've all been in sort of a comfort zone in our employment, and we simply haven't pushed it forward. So the team came together and said, what can we do? What can we do as a package to help the population here in these challenging times, and how can we address the fact that people are being made redundant and want to start their own thing, because let's face it, the jobs market's not at its best at the moment, and at the same time protect their families and being able to stay here. And we came up with the product VZ for Life, basically, which for an annual payment, the same payment every year, basically gives you your company license, and gives you residency visas for you and your family, a family of 4, forever. And that's covered forever. So every year you got to make the payment, and every year your license is renewed and your visa is valid. And for that same price, forever, if you pay that sum on a monthly year, then you and your family are protected in terms of visas, and your business is protected in terms of licensing and all, and is ready to go. So that's what VZ for Life is. It's basically your company, your family's residency visas for life, with an annual payment that's fixed for life.
Thank you, George. And to all the attendees on the webinar today, I have posted a link to VZ for Life as well. So you should see it on the right-hand side of your screen. And I do apologize that we had to restart the connection. So do please post your questions in the chatter as well, just so they will appear again, and then I'll promise we'll get right onto them. But I do remember there was a question from, I think, Mohammed, who would like to know what type of license is needed if you're going to sell your products on Amazon. Paul, perhaps you can help Mohammed with an answer to that.
Yeah, really depends on the type of product, whether it's a regulated product or not. If you're going to sell it on Amazon, it's a great place to start. Obviously, when you start selling on Amazon, you lose quite a lot of the margin as well, so that's something to consider when you're setting the company up. You can do that via a mainland or a free zone company. If you do it via a free zone company, then Amazon or the distribution or delivery partner will become your distributor in the mainland to allow you to sell the product online. You can set up an e-commerce company for as little as 6,000 dirhams, which is a company-only option. The basic bare minimum, but you'll find it difficult to open a bank account with that company. You need an office, tenancy contract, and then the price starts to increase a little bit. But you can do it via free zone, cheap and cheerful if you want to do it.
Thank you, Paul. And I see the first question has already been posted again from Akram. Akram, we will get on to your question very, very shortly, so just bear with us. But before we answer any more questions, I would like to engage all of you on the webinar now. I'm going to publish a poll that you will see in a second on your right-hand side. Basically, we would like to know, are you looking to start a business now? Yes, no, or I already own a business. Please let us know your answers and we will publish them a little bit later. All right, Sarah, next question is from you. It's from Ferdos, who would like to know, after getting a trade license, residence visas, and everything sorted with the packages that Virtuzone offers, how does medical insurance work?
Okay, hi, I just want to check you can hear me again before I continue. Can you hear me?
All good. Yeah,
okay,
loud and
perfect.
clear.
So for those, to answer your question, there are a few free zones that actually make it mandatory for you to have health insurance for yourself if you're taking the visa or any of the people you're providing visas to, such as employees or family. So first we would need to narrow down which free zone you're interested in setting up in. If it is a free zone wherein health insurance is mandatory, then we would need to actually do that as part of the visa process. And we would let you know at which step to engage a medical health provider. And we have a panel, and we also have partnerships with various insurance brokers to help you. And we've secured the best kind of rates for our clients that we can do. Then in cases where health insurance is not mandatory for employees or yourself as an employer, then obviously it's an optional thing, and it's of course very prudent to have health insurance in general. So again, we would recommend a health insurance provider or broker to help you out there.
Thank you for that, Sarah. And Paul, next up is Stephen. He would like to know, as it's my first time, I need Stephen would like to know basically what is, and I think we touched a little bit on this question before from George, but basically what is the most cost-efficient way or the cheapest way to set up a business? There's no business activity that's specified, but what is the cheapest way?
Yeah, thanks, Christian. I saw that question come in there, and I thought it was a bit ambiguous. It wasn't really clear, but my interpretation is the same as you, as how do I set up a business with low funds? And then there's two ways of doing that. You either set up the cheapest possible company that you can. That might not always be the best thing for you, for as little as 6,000 dirhams. Or you set up something that's perhaps going to be a bit more future-proof, a bit more robust and sophisticated, and will allow you to achieve more. Perhaps then you might want to start looking for investment into a startup, and there are people that will do that. So that really is up to you how you want to do it. So that's your operational MO as to how you do that. But you can set up cheap and cheerful for 6,000. You can set something up for 100,000, but you might want to get some investment, and you can set up things costly. And in between that, in between 6 and 100 grand, but you could get investment in it. So it really depends on the type of business that you want. But I'd be more than happy, Stephen, to sit and have a chat with you or pick up the phone anytime to point you in the right direction.
Thank you, Paul. George, I just want to jump back to the VSET for Life offer that we're currently running, because Kareem is asking for VSET for Life, what is my family? Is a family of 5, or what if I just want to do it by myself? Can I still benefit from it, from the offer?
Good question. So the VZ for Life is a concept, right? So, and we created that concept for an average family of 4. the concept of visa for life is something that we are now offering, and it's fully customizable depending on the number of people that you are in the family. Obviously, if you're less than 4 people, it will cost you less, even if you're 1 person. And if you're more than 4 people, it will cost you a bit more. But we can absolutely customize that package to the number of people that are in the family, or for a single applicant if you are alone. So yes, it's fully customizable. Visa for life is obviously a catchy concept for a family of 4, an average family of 4. That's why we're marketing it under Visa for life. So please get in touch with one of our consultants, and we can quote you on for a family of 5 or for an individual person, depending on what you're looking for.
All right. Sarah, on to the next question from Arjun. Arjun would like to know how long is a UAE residence visa valid for, and does it depend on the free zone that he sets up his company in?
Yeah. Hi, Arjun. So you're on, yeah, you're right. In essence, there are residence visas that are valid for either 3 years or 2 years. There's also the new visas, which are essentially termed golden visas, or which are some by invitation only 5 or 10 years. But the main visas that people have with company visas are 2 or 3 years. And taking Dubai as an example, within Dubai, you have the employment visas or the labor visas, and they are 2 years. And then you've got free zone visas through immigration, which are 3 years. So if you're setting up in the free zone in Dubai or in most of the Emirates, it's a 3-year standard visa. If you're setting up a company in mainland Dubai, your visa will be issued by the MOHRE, which is the Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratization, and those visas are 2 years.
Thank you, Sarah. Paul, on to the next question from Craig, who would like to know if he's importing goods from abroad and selling on social media, will he require a trade license? And what would be the cheapest option to distribute across the UAE, but mainly Dubai? And sort of what sort of the overall landscape of costs that he needs to be aware of?
Yeah, okay. So there's a few elements to that question. You can definitely break it down, and you should probably have a proper consultation to make sure that you're in the right direction. In order to sell the goods online via social media, you would need an e-commerce license from one of the free zones. Dubai DED offer an e-trader or DED trader license, but in order to sell goods on that, you can only do that as an Emirati national. You can't do that as an expat. Neither of these companies anyway can import, not able to obtain an import code. So you would need a fully fledged mainland company or a limited liability company with a trading activity to allow you to import goods, or you have to go through someone that has that activity in order to import the goods and have them clear customs and then transfer them to you. But this is more of an operational question for your business rather than a structuring question, how to set the company up. But that would definitely involve us having to sit down and have a chat for about half an hour and work out the best direction for you.
Thanks, Paul. Sarah, you're up again. Yep, good, you're still with us. Jessica would like to know, how much does a visa cost, and does the price differ for each free zone? Has the government done anything to help small businesses out with visas in these difficult times?
Yeah. Hi, Jessica. So visas range from anywhere between 3,000 to about 10,000. And again, that just depends on the validity and which jurisdiction the visa is in. There are also different types of visas. For example, there's an investor visa or a partner visa versus an employee visa. And sometimes in some free zones, they have a different price point for the investor or the shareholders or the owners of the company. And then again, a different price point for employees within a company. And the second part of the question is, have the government done anything to alleviate the burden with visa expenses? Unfortunately, for a new company, it's a new company set up with visas. Obviously, there's lots of great offers on at the moment. And, you know, we're also running a lot of campaigns on those offers as well for new business setup. So there are advantages that you can take that directly impacts the visa cost for you there, along with the setup. With visa renewal, there's no real direct benefit or discounts, so to speak, on the residence visa, but There were a few months between July and October where certain jurisdictions and certain immigration departments within the UAE waived overstay penalties for tourist visas and in certain parts residence visas pre-renewal. So generally speaking now, those discounts or the waivers are not really available, but if you have a specific case, we can absolutely help you looking into how we can maybe help benefit you from cost reduction. So just drop us an email with your visa copy if it's for yourself at info@vz.ae, and my team and I will get back to you on your case.
All right, thank you, Sarah. George, so we got another question regarding one of the promotions that we are currently offering. It is from Anna, who is asking, is your Dubai Dream license offer still available? Can you tell me more about what it includes?
So there seems to be a lot of interest about the Dubai Dream license. We're seeing a lot of interest anyway. It's quite a cool concept. It's a free zone that was created on the Queen Elizabeth, which is basically the boat that's right off the coast of Dubai. It is a Dubai free zone. The particular thing about this free zone is that it's at the moment it's priced very competitively. In general, Dubai free zones tend to be about double the price of Northern Emirates free zones, but this particular free zone has priced itself very competitively in order for you to be able to get a Dubai free zone license at a much lower price. That's why we're calling it the Dubai Dream license, because basically it's a Dubai license. It gives you all the advantages of a regular free zone license. They have some very cool shared office spaces on the ship that you can avail as part of the advantages of having that license, and it covers all the activities that you might need. So the Dubai Dream license is basically Dubai free zone license at a lower cost than your traditional free zone licenses. And I think for more creative industries and more creative activities, it's kind of cool to say, listen, I'm licensed off a ship, and that's where our headquarters are based or are licensed. So that's the Dubai Dream license, and absolutely yes, the promotion is still going on, and I think it's going on till the end of the month.
Thank you, George. And yeah, just to add to that, I have posted a link in the chatter on the right-hand side where you can go and learn more about that. Some time ago, basically, we were asking, are you looking to start a business now? Yes, no, or I already own a business. And I'm going to end the poll now. You will see the answers as well, or the results. Basically, 100% of the people who replied to the poll are looking to start a business now. So that's great. We have the right audience on the call today. Paul, next question is for you. It's from Akram, who submitted a question in advance and also has posted it in the chatter as well. So he's saying that he's an owner of a company in Atlanta in the US, and he's considering to start a company in the UAE to provide his services. He's offering a consultant service for dentists related to placement of dental implants. They also offer surgical guide, which is a 3D printed custom appliance for each patient to be used by the dentist in surgery. What would be the best way to set up a company in the UAE for this type of business activity?
Okay, yeah, I think that one came in advance, and I think we've got Akram already, also on the call, because I've seen him share a similar question. So, look, anything that's going to be involved in healthcare, now whether that be consulting with healthcare providers or providing a product, often is going to require an approval from the Dubai Health Authority. And generally the company might need to be established in the mainland of Dubai, because if you're going to be serving dental clinics and they're based all over the mainland, then you're going to have difficulty doing that from a free zone. If you're offering a consultancy service, you might be able to do it, but when we start looking at 3D printing and custom appliances, then that's going to be separate. So that's quite an in-depth question, but it's quite easy to set up a branch of a US company here, or to set up a subsidiary where the US company owns 100% of it. Right now, I don't have enough information to tell you you must be in the freezer or you must be in the mainland. We should definitely speak more. And I see that you're online. If you want to share your details privately, I'll more than happily reach out to you in the morning.
Thank you, Paul. Next question is from Rob, and this is for you, Sarah. It's regarding visas. It's regarding PRO services. Rob is asking, how do I find a good PRO service for my business, and what are the type of services that a PRO can help with in the first place? I guess the scope is quite broad.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, Rob, you don't have to look too far. You're already talking to a company that can help with a lot of things that you're probably intending on doing. So Virtuzone, whilst it's mainly in company formation, we also have a PRO division that can help with a lot of government registration, a lot of the legwork, basically, that is the administration of running your company, getting visas for your employees, getting certain documents attested. PRO services really is quite broad. So it just depends on what exactly you'll be doing and the frequency at which you'll be doing it. And feel free to get in touch with me, and we can issue you a quotation or just discuss your kind of business plan, and I can help and guide. You in terms of, do you need a PRO company? Do you need to outsource work to a PRO company? Should you hire one in-house, or should you use a company like Virtuzone that already obviously has PROs? So we can absolutely help you with that. So just get in touch with me. I guess Christian can share my email address or info@vz.ae with the specific question for me, and I will get back to you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Christian, do you mind if I jump in here quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Because Akram from my previous question has just sent me two things in the live chat. You mentioned, Akram, how do I share the information? Well, in this live chat, if you want to type your email address and phone number, none of the attendees will see it, only we will see it as presenters, and Christian will capture that information. I can then arrange to give you a call tomorrow sometime. And you said there's a second part of your question about coaching, training and coaching. Training can be done by a Virtuzone company if it's done online quite easily. But if you're going to be going around the dental clinics and carrying out some coaching in person, then you will need some sort of professional mainland license for that. But if you share the details, we can have a proper in-depth conversation and get you on the right track.
Thanks for that, Paul. And while we are with you, why don't we jump on to one of the next questions? One from Bibek, and Bibek actually has 4 questions in one. The first one is, what are the license options that allows to import goods and sell online? Again, I think that's quite broad, but
I think we've answered that on one of the other questions. It was fairly similar. Only mainland companies can import the goods into the mainland, but Virtuzone companies can sell them online via an e-commerce license quite easily. So I think we addressed that already. And you said, is there any other parts of this question?
They're quite related actually to the first question. So the next one is, does a general trading license enable you to import multiple types of products and sell through an e-commerce portal?
Okay, that's an easy one. Yeah, the answer to that is yes. You can import different types of product on a general trading license. It's not a specific trading license to one particular type of product. The only products that you can't import are products that are regulated, and that would be things like mobile phones, for example. They need to be approved by the Telecom Regulatory Authority, tobacco and alcohol, firearms, these types of things. So things that are regulated here, you can't just import on a general trading license. And yes, with a general trading license, you can sell through an e-commerce portal or your own website. Thanks
for that, Paul. Before we jump on to the next questions, I want to run the second poll for today. So on the last poll, everyone who replied said they're looking to start a business now. So next question I want to ask you is, what has prevented you from starting a business until now? Has it been because of COVID-19? Has it been because of costs? Is it because you need more information for licensing? Or is it because of another issue? Do please let us know in the poll, and I will let you know the results shortly. Sarah, I want to jump on to a question from Hannah, who is asking, has there been any changes to the visa process due to COVID-19?
COVID has thrown a lot of things in the air with regards to visas. So yeah, there's been a lot of changes. Obviously, the major change is once you have an existing visa, once you have an existing UAE residence visa, you need to be in the country every 180 days. So there's roughly 6 months. Of course, there were a lot of people that had UAE residence visas issued and they weren't able to travel back because of just international borders being closed. So that's a major positive temporary change that we've witnessed. Of course, the government is allowing people back into the country as and when they get their GDRFA or ICA approvals, depending on where the visa was issued in which emirate. So that's been a nice leniency that the government has allowed for what is usually a very strict 180-day rule. There are other changes I can just think off the top of my head, such as, for example, RACES, so Ras Al Khaimah Economic Zone. Until today, we just got the notification today, we weren't actually doing residence visa stamping in your passport because they just wanted to reduce a lot of the physical handling of passports and documents. So they were issuing an approval for a residence visa, but they weren't actually sticking the pink sticker in your passport. So that was a big change, which now we've just seen come to an end today. The other change was very, very temporary. They stopped doing medicals for in-country residence visa applications, but of course they restarted that very soon, as soon as the medical centers were open again. And then the other change, again, these are just changes I'm thinking off the top of my head, but out-of-country visa applications are still not being done in 85 to 90% of the jurisdictions that we work with. So if you are a residence visa applicant and you're not on ground in the UAE at the moment, we can't actually get your residence visa. There are some exceptions to this. For example, like Dubai World Trade Center, they're still processing and issuing residence visa entry permits for new applicants who are not in the UAE, but in general, most of the other free zones, majority, are only issuing residence visas. They're only taking applicants or applications for in-country, on-the-ground residence visa applicants. So there's quite a lot of changes, and we're running into regulatory changes on a daily, weekly, bi-monthly basis. So it's been a busy time, just keeping up with the regulations. But if you have a specific query or a change that you're asking for, again, please get in touch with me and I'll help you. But yeah, yes, to answer your question, lots of changes, and we're just doing our best to advise as accurately and as best as we can. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm sure it does. Paul, I want to give you a question from the chatter. Basically, it's sent as a private question, but the person saying is, I'm starting a business consultancy, and let's see here. Also, I put an additional topic in the submission. So it's about lifestyle consultancy, which will be around fitness training courses. His wife will carry out the training, but he will be the owner of the company. So what's the structure they would look at? Will he be the owner and his wife will be an employee, or will they both need to be owners? What's sort of the recommended structure for them?
Well, yeah, no, I've just pulled the question up there because it wasn't really clear to me where we were going with it. So I think what it looks like is, and as it's a private question, is that you're starting a business consultancy, but you've added an activity of lifestyle consultancy. So what that means to me is that you're going to be operating as a business consultant on your own, and you've put an extra activity there so that your wife can offer lifestyle consultancy, which is fine. Like you said, which will serve to fitness training courses. So it sounds like your wife perhaps might be a personal trainer. So that's where this is going to get a little bit tricky for you, because you can only operate inside the free zone, because these activities for sure can only be combined on a free zone license, not on a mainland license. And you can only operate within the free zone in which you're based. So your business consultancy, yes, you can do that, because let's assume that the majority of your consultations are going to take place online, over the phone, or via email. But if you're offering personal training under a lifestyle consultancy license, that's not legal. And if you're offering one-to-one PT sessions in gyms or sports clubs, then you won't be able to do that through this license. We do have a solution to that we created about a year ago in conjunction with Provide AED, whereby you can be set up as a fully fledged personal trainer on the ground without the expense that you previously would have needed for that. We have a product called Virtue Fit for personal trainers, and that's something that perhaps we can help you with. It's not expensive, and it keeps everything legit, because if you're going to be operating as a PT, and many people do that, they do operate under a lifestyle consultancy license, I have seen it, but if you operate under that, and there's any accidents or any problems take place, then you're going to be subject to scrutiny, and certainly a slap on the wrist. So for sure, if you want to speak to us about that, we can help point you in the right direction, but both activities shouldn't be combined on the license. However, if there wasn't an issue, I can see the second part of your question, is that a problem? My wife is there making money and she's a dependent, and that's no problem at all, because you as her sponsor can give her an NOC to work, so she can work for any company. It doesn't need to be your company.
All right, thank you, Paul. And also to add to that, I just want to let everyone on the call know that our next webinar is going to be all about how to run a successful fitness business online. Even if you have an existing business as a personal trainer, how do you take it online and how do you scale it? So we're going to have some really interesting experts on the next Q&A. George, we got a question that I want to get your feedback on here. So someone asked us, what are the value add that Virtuzone provides versus setting up a business on my own?
Well, that's a very good question, and that's a question that I would ask myself, certainly as an entrepreneur that's looking to start up his business. Now that I'm on the other side, I can answer that question very easily. The fact of the matter is that today in the UAE, you have way over 50 jurisdictions in which you can open. For you to go jurisdiction by jurisdiction, to get the information from each jurisdiction, and to after that decide on what is the best jurisdiction for you, would take an enormous amount of time to start with. As an entrepreneur or as a startup, you have a very limited amount of funds to invest into your license. So it's very important that you get it right from the first time. Our job here is to provide you with options and provide you with the different licenses that you can use for your business. We're a service industry business, so we don't have a preference for this jurisdiction or that jurisdiction. We basically do all the work for you, and we have all the expertise to tell you, well, for your type of business with your activities, these are the different setups that you can use, and these are the costs. A lot of people think that we are very expensive. It's simply not true. Our business model is such that due to the amount of volume that we do, we basically our cost for licenses are less than the consumer price. What we do is that we sell it to the consumer at a at a price that's slightly over what you would pay as a consumer, but for the convenience of getting all the consulting advice and all the right advice to open properly. Furthermore, we do all the processing for you. So basically, you bring us, we ask you for the right paperwork. You bring us all the paperwork here in Suq al-Bahar. You come and you get your license here from Suq al-Bahar downtown. Furthermore, we offer all the value-added services that you would need as a very small or nascent business. So all the VAT services, all the basic accounting services, the basic legal services, basic marketing services, all these things. You get a one-stop shop here, and we do them for you. So two things that are very important. The first one is that we will advise you on the right setup for you. Again, we're not biased on one setup or the other. We're a service provider, so we don't make more money on this setup or that setup. So we really do advise you without any bias on the best setup for yourself, or for your business rather. And the second thing is we have all the ecosystem for a starting business in order to provide you with services as silly as VAT registration or as business cards or something like that. Well, we'll provide you with all these services. So you're saving yourself a lot of time, a lot of money, and mostly you're doing the things right from the beginning, which will save you a lot of money in the long run by going with a provider like Virtuzone. Your alternative would simply be to go to over 50 jurisdictions, speak to every single one of them, get the pricing from every single one of them, consult with lawyers to see what's the best setup for you, and still probably pay around the same. There's no point in doing it on your own when you can deal with us who are experts at it, and we'll provide you with the best advice on how to do it right from the beginning in the fastest time possible. So that's my answer.
And can I just add to that? Sorry to jump in, but we've been around for 10 years now. We established in 2009. It's right behind me. There are clients, so I look after the book of existing clients, and you would think that as a new business, okay, the first few years you would need a company formation specialist to help you, but we have got clients that we've that have been with us for 10 years now, and they want to stay with us because they see the value in us. So it's important to have somebody that you trust, especially if you're new to the region. And like George said, someone that's unbiased to provide you an unbiased, holistic approach to going about company setup. So trust in us.
And I think I would also jump in and add a point there that George and Sarah both touched on it by saying that we are unbiased. And that really is true, because we're not incentivized to push you in the direction of one free zone or one jurisdiction or mainland, nor are we financially incentivized internally to do so, because we make the same money regardless. And I think you need to be very careful when you do your research on the ground here. Don't just speak to us, look at the market, and you'll soon realize that perhaps when you speak to people who are like us, they are pushing you in one direction always, regardless of the different scope that you've got. And you only have to kind of look around and you'll find that the same people just push you in the same direction at all times, whereas we are pretty stretched across multiple jurisdictions.
Thank you. All right, I'm cautious that we are running out of time here, so I want to close the poll that we launched a few minutes ago, asking what has prevented you from starting a business until now. And you should see the questions now on the screen. It's basically split. Primarily, what has prevented people from starting a business until now, either costs or because more information has been required on licensing. That's great to hear in a way that, that's one of the reasons why we're doing these Q&As. That is to give you as an aspiring entrepreneur more information that makes you feel comfortable enough to start your own business. Paul, I want to jump on to one of the last questions from the chatter and give that to you. It's Sanya that's asking, can you import clothing goods on an e-commerce license? And are there any limitation based on which emirate that e-commerce license is issued from? Okay, so an e-commerce license will always be issued from a free zone because they don't offer that license in the mainland. So that allows you to sell the goods online via a platform or a website, but it doesn't allow you to import goods. So you can, if you're going to use that particular type of license, employ that license, then you can work in a drop shipping type way where people can buy goods from China and you can ship them from China to the UK using that license, using that company and that bank account. But you cannot land the goods here in the UAE with that license. Only a mainland company can import those goods. Thank you, Paul. And with those words, we have gotten to the end of today's Q&A. Thank you so much to everyone who signed up, to who attended. Thanks for all the questions that you posted in the chatter. I think we got around to answer most of them. There'll be many more Q&As coming up between now and until the end of the year on different topics, such as the one I mentioned before around taking your fitness business online. We're going to talk about legal aspects, we're going to talk about insurance, and there's going to be a few more on starting your business. So please do continue to watch this space, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and do check out our website at vz.ae at certain intervals to see what we're up to, and make sure to sign up to the upcoming Q&As. So with those words, thanks so much to our expert panelists today. George Hodjiesh, CEO of Virtuzone, Sarah Jiwala, Head of Operations, and Paul Bryson, Director of Domestic Structuring. So thanks so much, guys, for joining us today and answering all the questions. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.